Hi, I'm Jackson with Onpoint Locksmithing. We're here at Oxygen Yoga and Fitness. We've got a big job coming up today. I'm going to go over it with you guys real quick. We're going to be installing a brand new push pedal so that the employees don't have to unlock the door every time they want to let somebody out. We're going to be installing a new continuous hinge to replace these old pivots. Keeps you out of the salt, keeps you out of the dirt, keeps you out of the water. In addition to that, we'll be installing a new door closer and a new mortise lock. With the new mortise lock comes a nice latch guard here. This beautiful face shield on it. So this will be protecting the latch, something like that. And we're going to be installing a brand new continuous hinge on their door here. So it's going to span all the way from the very top all the way down to the very bottom, and it'll be replacing these two pivots. So this offers enhanced security, much longer lifespan than the pivots themselves, and they just look a lot cleaner as well. So one of my favorite products to install. They work great. We never get callbacks. So we're back. Looking at the continuous hinge that's now been installed onto the frame. You can see all these self-tapping screws. Very strong. So the next step here is we're going to be installing the door back into the frame and attaching it to the continuous hinge with 1, 2, 3, 4 test screws. Now those are going to come in the package, and they're going to be a flat top screw. Make sure those are the ones you use. You open it up here, you can see we've got everything nice and clean and ready to go. We're going to set the door in, we're going to lift our airbag up a bit until we're in position, and then we're going to insert those 4 test screws.
This is spacer so the door won't be too tight to the frame, because if it is, it stays open.
Okay, so the first step to swapping a flush bolt. We're going to remove these 2 screws. Keep in mind you're going to want to keep a hand on the tab so that if you're working on the top one, it doesn't fall down into the door. Your next step after you've removed those 2 screws, you're going to push it all the way up into the frame until you can reach this white nut, at which point you're going to pull it down and just yank it out. See there? Your next step, there's 1 screw down here. Now that holds the plastic guide. You're going to want to pull that out and make sure there's no leftover debris inside the holder. Once you're happy with how clean everything is, you can start assembling the new flush bolt.
Take the measurements of the bolt. The other one, I have to call it a 3/4 inch. Let's see if it's too long.
Yeah.
It's too long?
If flush bolts come correct from the factory, you can just install them. When they're not, you have to cut them with the grinder. Do not try and force it. Now, as we said, the next step, assembling your flush bolt. So you might want to grab a pair of vice grips, grab onto the rod here. It is slippery. And you're just going to make sure that this plastic bit is spanned all the way down until it stops spinning. Sometimes you got to go for a while, but you'll feel it once you hit the end. Don't try and force it. Now right there, that feels pretty good. So what I'll do now is I'll take it, I'm going to insert the long threaded end into the flush bolt. Now at this point, you don't really have to get it exactly where you want it, you just want to get it started. So, after we've got the whole flush bolt assembled, the next step is going to be to adjust it to the proper height. So the way you do that, instead of having to insert it into the door and then fish it out again, you're just going to flip it around backwards and lay it in here. Now you can see it'll sit nice and pretty. After that, you're going to take this plastic bit should be flush with the bottom of the door when the flush bolt is retracted. Then when you go and you flip it out and it gets longer, then it's going to be sitting below the door. Once you've got it adjusted to the proper length, you're going to Loctite this nut. Now if you don't have Loctite, you don't complete this step, you're not going to install the flush bolt. You have to install Loctite here, or it will back off and we'll be back here. Now I use gel. It's 3 or 4 threads worth of Loctite. If you use the gel, if you use the liquid, just a couple drops of lube. You're going to spin that on there and you're going to tighten it up. Hand tight is not tight enough. Now that that's all secure, you're going to turn it backwards. Insert it up into the door, at which point you'll spin it around, drop it back down. Grab this tab and position the flush bolt. After which you'll insert the 2 screws. It doesn't matter which one you start with. Going well. Going well. So the next step, you're going to insert the guide. It helps if you have the flush bolt extended at this point, so that you can kind of get it started outside of the door and then wiggle it in. This plastic guide doesn't have any threads in it, so the first time you screw it in, it's going to be tough. So just be somewhat gentle with it. You don't want to force it. couple turns and we're good. Now you can see, up and down, it's rock solid. We're flush with the bottom here. When extended, we're about 1/2 inch to 3/4, just enough to reach us into the threshold hole to secure the door. Okay, so we're just about to reinstall the door and attach it to the continuous hinge. The first thing we do is we're going to put these 2 shims underneath each corner of the door and an airbag in the middle. Now you can go the other way and use 2 airbags and a shim, or even just 2 airbags. This is how I prefer it. It's totally up to you. Find what works best for you. Now you're going to make sure that you have the right side of the door. Don't put the door in backwards. I like to use the lines in the threshold as kind of a baseline for how far in I need to push the door if I don't have a bar in the middle to stop it. That's only really going to happen on these storefront French doors. Otherwise, you're fine. You'll have somewhere to put the door into. You don't need to worry about that. So what we're looking at is our gaps all the way around the door. And remember, we put these spacers in here. So what I like to do is just push it all the way to the spacers right away. And then we can see where we go from there. And the easiest way to do that is by inflating your airbag when it's pushed over a little bit this way. We're going to reposition that. And we're going to go up. And you can see that that gap on the side there is closed. We're going to airbag up until we have a consistent gap lined up with this door, if this door is where it's supposed to be. If this door is sagging, do not line them up together. Use your better judgment. Now that we've lifted it up, we can see the gap here has grown and it's shrank there. And that shows on that spacer as well. We've got way too much space. So you can take a big screwdriver, you can take a wooden shim, you can take anything you want, but you're just going to want to push it back over into the spacer there. Be gentle, you don't want to damage the door. And once you've kind of got that in place, then you're free to take a step back and see what needs to happen. So we can see we have a very consistent gap at the top, very consistent gap on the side. I think this is good. What we can do now is close the hinge and make sure that it's sitting flat. It shouldn't be folded up, it shouldn't be tight at the top and tight at the bottom, but loose in the middle. You're going to want to make sure it's sitting nice and flat. If it's not, there's something else going on. Now, as I said before, you're going to take the 4 test screws. You can see those with the flat bottom on them. Those are the only ones that you're going to use for this step. You've got smaller holes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, when you're driving these screws in, you're going to see the door suck tight to the hinge. You need to keep going until it stops moving. Otherwise, you're going to have a loose hinge. Okay, and at this point, now that we have these 4 test screws in, we're fully secured and we can now open and close the door. You don't want to let it sit like this for a long time. These are only to make sure that you have a good fit and that it can swing open and close. Now at this point, if you've dogged the latch or whatever you're using, whatever hardware you have, undog it, make sure it works. It's important that you remove the spacers from the door before you use it too many times because they can pinch and damage the door. Okay, so the next step in the process, we've got all these holes still left open in the continuous hinge. Now those are for what's called a sex bolt or a through bolt. You have one side that's secure, no bitting or anything, And then one side that is on the interior, that's going to be your screw, your nut. You can start anywhere you want. Start at the bottom, go up. Start at the top, go down. Just don't start in the middle. Now, if you're looking through and you drilled straight through and you notice your hole is at a bit of an angle, you can ream it out a little bit. Put your bit entirely through both holes and then just gently back and forth. And you can move it around a little bit. First bit for all those holes is going to be a 3/8. Make it sharp. Follow up with this step bit. Any kind of step bit will work. The 3/8 is just too small for the sex bolts. You have to kind of hammer them in. That takes a really long time. So instead we just do this. So now that all those are popped in there, you can unbag the door, you can open it up and go around the other side with your screw. Okay, so we're back here at Oxygen Yoga and Fitness. We're at the end of the job here. We've got everything installed. Everything is working perfectly. It looks great. We're just going to go over it now with you. So we're going to start over here at the continuous hinge. Spans all the way top to bottom. Replacing the pivots. It's working fantastic. You can see these two covers on here hide all of the fasteners. Coming over here, we see our mortise plate. Now this is to protect the latch on the new Adams right that we just installed. It's got 6 rivets in it, 1 mortise lock, and on the back side we have an Adams right push pedal. So this is going to enable the business to allow people out without allowing people in. So moving on, this was already here. One side. We've got our new Adams right push pedal. So you can see this. So this push pedal allows anybody inside the business to leave very easily and leave the business secure once the door latches again. So you hear that click? We have a secure latch. Now if you look up here, we've got a brand new LSDA door closer. It's a grade 2, 9-inch, set up in a top jam installation. So your A measurement here, your B measurement here, that's all you need to know. It's all in the instructions. So we've got this tuned up properly. We've got several of the strength adjustment turns on here to account for the weight of the door. And that's about it. It's tuned up. It's working great. You can see we got a full back check function here. As the doors come in, you see. Slow swing and a secure latch.